Your neighbors are walking past gardens right now that look intentional, smell incredible, feed wildlife, and cost almost nothing to maintain after the first season. And most of them have no idea that the plants doing all of that work have been considered symbols of luck, prosperity, and protection for centuries across dozens of cultures. That is not a coincidence. Lucky plants are lucky for a reason. They perform, they spread, they come back, they multiply. And today I am giving you 7 of them. Drop your US state or USDA hardiness zone in the comments right now while you are thinking about it. I read every single one and it shapes the videos I make every week. Let's go. Plant 1. Basil. Every culture that has ever grown this plant has called it lucky. Ancient Rome, medieval Europe, India, West Africa. The reason is not mystical. It is practical. A plant that produces this much, this fast, from this little effort, with this much fragrance and flavor and insect-repelling power, looks like luck because it performs like luck. Ocimum basilicum is hardy as a warm season annual across every USDA zone in the country. It grows fastest in zones 9 through 11, where it behaves almost as a perennial. In zones 3 through 8, plant it after your last frost date in full sun and rich, well-draining soil. Here is what most gardening channels never tell you about basil. Pinching the flower heads off the moment they appear does not just extend the harvest. It triggers the plant to produce more essential oils in the remaining leaves. The flavor gets stronger. The insect-repelling compounds get more concentrated. The plant becomes more of everything you planted it for. 1 pinch every week. That is the entire management strategy for the most productive herb in your garden. Plant it near a doorway or patio entrance. The fragrance it releases when brushed is one of the most immediately pleasant sensory experiences in any garden, and it costs $3 at any nursery. That is your entire investment for an entire summer of fresh basil at $4 to $6 per bunch at any grocery store. Tell me in the comments right now, what state are you in and do you grow basil already? I want to know how many people watching this are leaving $50 worth of fresh herbs at the garden center every season when they could be growing it themselves. Plant 2. 4-leaf clover. White clover has been considered lucky for so long that most people have forgotten why it started. The reason is agricultural. Farmers who found clover in their fields knew their soil was nitrogen-rich, their livestock was well-fed, and their land was performing. Lucky clover meant a lucky farm. The symbolism followed the performance. Trifolium repens is hardy in USDA, zones 3 through 10, nearly every American growing region. It fixes nitrogen directly from the atmosphere into your soil through a symbiotic relationship with soil bacteria. Every clover plant in your yard is a free, self-operating fertilizer system working 24 hours a day at zero cost. That is not folklore. That is soil science. It spreads through stolons, surface stems that root as they travel, and fills in bare patches, suppresses weeds, and feeds pollinators constantly through its bloom period. Bees work white clover harder than almost any other low-growing plant available to American gardeners. If your vegetable garden is underperforming, adding white clover nearby is one of the most direct and cost-free pollinator interventions you can make. Keep it contained if you want. Let it run if you have the space. Either way, it is improving your soil and feeding your bees for free every single season. If you are watching this and you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. Not when the video ends. Right now. This channel puts out content at this level every single week. Real plant knowledge, real zone-specific guidance, real information that saves you money. Hit subscribe. It is free. It takes 2 seconds. Plant 3. Lavender. Lavender has been planted near doorways, along pathways, and at property boundaries across Europe for centuries as a symbol of protection and good fortune. The reason people kept doing it is simple. It worked. Not magically, practically. The aromatic oils that give lavender its fragrance are a powerful natural insect deterrent. Every culture that planted lavender near an entrance was reducing the insects entering their home. Protection through chemistry. Lavandula. Angustifolia is hardy in USDA zones 5 through 8. In zones 9 through 11, Spanish lavender, Lavandula stoechas, handles the heat. Hidcote is the most cold-hardy English variety, surviving down to zone 5. Phenomenal handles heat and humidity across zones 6 through 9 better than any other variety available. Here is the critical growing fact that kills more lavender than any pest or disease. Moisture-retaining potting soil is lavender's primary killer. Mix your soil with 1/3 coarse perlite before planting. Never fertilize it, not once. Rich nutrients produce soft, weak growth with diminished fragrance. The essential oil concentration that creates both the scent and the natural insect-repelling properties actually increases when the plant is slightly hungry. Neglect is not just acceptable with lavender, it is the correct technique. Cut it back by 1/3 after the first bloom flush. It returns fuller and more fragrant than before. Plant 4. Echinacea. Native American cultures used Echinacea medicinally for centuries before European settlers arrived. The plant's association with health, strength, and vitality is not symbolic. It is empirical. This plant has been actively supporting the health of the ecosystems it grows in for thousands of years. Echinacea purpurea is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. Magnus purple produces larger flower heads than the wild species with a more upright habit. White swan is pure white with orange centers and slightly more shade tolerant. Both bloom June through September. 4 full months of color. Here is the economic reality most gardeners miss. Every 3 to 4 years divide the clump. One plant becomes 8 to 10. At current nursery prices, $12 to $15 per plant, one mature Echinacea clump yields $100 to $150 worth of free plants from a single morning with a garden fork. Leave the seed heads standing through winter. The National Wildlife Federation documents Echinacea as one of the top 5 bird-feeding native plants in America. Goldfinches and chickadees feed on those heads from October through February. Your lucky plant feeds wildlife for free all winter at zero cost to you. Plant 5. Peonies. In Chinese culture, the peony has been the symbol of wealth, honor, and good fortune for over 1,000 years. It was called the king of flowers. Emperors grew it in palace gardens. The reason it accumulated that cultural weight is the same reason it belongs in yours. It performs at a level that looks almost impossible for a plant that asks almost nothing from you. Peonia lactiflora is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. Plant in full sun with good air circulation. Do not plant too deeply. The eyes should sit no more than 1 to 2 inches below the soil surface. That single planting decision determines whether your peony blooms or sulks for years. Here is what most gardening channels never tell you about peonies. A properly planted peony in the right zone requires almost zero intervention and can live and bloom in the same spot for 50 to 100 years. The investment you make this season, one plant at $15 to $25 at a quality nursery, is a planting decision that will outlast your mortgage. No other flowering perennial available to American home gardeners approaches that kind of long-term value. 4 plants in, and I want you to hit the like button right now. Every like tells YouTube this content is worth showing to gardeners across America who are paying full nursery price every spring for plants that die by August. One tap, that is all it takes. Plant 6. Rosemary. Rosemary has been planted at doorways and along pathways across the Mediterranean for thousands of years as a symbol of protection, remembrance, and mental clarity. The ancient Greeks wore rosemary garlands during exams, believing it improved memory. Modern neuroscience has since confirmed that 1,8-cineol, a compound in rosemary essential oil, does measurably support cognitive performance when inhaled. The folklore was right. It just took 2,000 years to prove it. Salvia rosmarinus is hardy in USDA zones 7 through 11 in the ground. In zones 5 and 6, grow it in a container you can bring inside before hard frost. Prostratus is a low-growing trailing variety that cascades beautifully over walls and container edges. Tuscan blue grows tall and architectural, 6 feet in warm zones, and makes a formal statement along a pathway or entrance. Plant it in full sun, free-draining soil. Keep it on the drier side once established. Never fertilize heavily. Lean conditions produce more aromatic essential oils for exactly the same reason as lavender. One light trim after flowering to keep it shaped. That is the complete annual maintenance for a plant that is also one of the most useful kitchen herbs available to American home cooks. Plant 7. Sage. Sage has been used in domestic and ceremonial traditions across Native American, European, and Mediterranean cultures for centuries as a symbol of wisdom, purification, and balance. The word salvia, sage's botanical genus, comes from the Latin salvare, meaning to be in good health. Every time you plant sage, you are planting something that cultures across the world, across thousands of years, independently concluded was worth growing near the home. Salvia officinalis is hardy in USDA zones 5 through 8. Berggarten produces large silver-gray leaves with exceptional flavor and ornamental presence. Purpurascens has purple-tinged foliage that shifts in intensity through the seasons and looks genuinely beautiful in a border. Plant in full sun, well-draining soil, harvest regularly. The more you harvest, the bushier and more productive it becomes. Every harvest is a free kitchen ingredient that costs $4 to $6 per bunch at any grocery store. 3 sage plants in your yard eliminate that purchase entirely for the entire growing season. That is not symbolism. That is real money staying in your pocket. Here is what most gardening channels never mention about sage. It is semi-evergreen in zones 6 and warmer, contributing silver-green foliage structure and fragrance to your garden through most of winter when everything around it has gone dormant and brown. One of the few herbs that keeps working for you 12 months of the year. 7 plants that have been considered lucky across cultures and centuries. Now you know why. Not because of folklore, because they perform. They spread, they return, they multiply, they feed your kitchen, your pollinators, your birds, and your soil. They reduce your grocery bill, eliminate maintenance from difficult spots, and improve every plant growing near them. That is not luck. That is the right plant in the right place. And that is what this channel is built around every single week. Subscribe right now if you have not already. Hit the bell and drop 2 things in the comments before you go. What state or zone are you gardening in? And which plant on this list are you putting in the ground first? I read every single comment. Your answers shape the next video directly. Now go plant something lucky.